All right, y'all, we're going to take a look at this boudoir photography business today. Going to take a look at its, high intent Google searches that boudoir buyers are searching. See if it has BSS and see if we're meeting the GBC recommended minimum of hitting 3 out of 10 page one Google slots. And we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the number one boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, aka full spectrum intent capture. If you want more info on that, yeah, somewhere, pin post, pin video on the profile. And it's our North Star because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. Those that are rising, they're probably bringing in peeps from the entire intent ladder, the intent spectrum. High intent here on the left to low intent way over on the right. Here we talk about the highest intent peeps, Google search, social media search, searching right now for boudoir photo shoot in our city. That's where we talk about BSS. All the way at the other end, those are interruption ads like Facebook, Instagram. It's our other brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor, where we talk about BLCS. And right now over there, we're only working with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month on boudoir Facebook ads. So we're focusing on the two intent extremes right now. So here we're talking about BSS, which is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. 0 slots means if we're not on page 1, we basically don't exist. We're on page 2 or deeper. And we already know that approximately 80% of Google searches never go past page 1. So that's the bulk of the market, that's most of the market. And if they have zeros, basically if we're in 0 slots on page 1, we're basically invisible and we're going downhill pretty fast. 1 slot on page 1, Google is not good enough either, because every other boudoir photographer on there is also going to have most likely 1 slot. So, if there's 10 organic slots per Google, search page, the a buyer is just going to be clicking on everyone's website, contacting everyone, price shopping us against literally everyone, and as a result, we're actually going to, we're actually going to not stand out, be price shopped. People probably go to the lowest bid, all things like that. So boudoir search sameness, no bueno. We also know that 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Yeah, it's not normal to have such few number of slots for ourselves on page 1 of Google. Extremely common, but not normal. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. There's 2 deeper root causes. One, basically everyone knows about, market saturation, and another one, basically nobody knows about, the false belief of page 1 equality. So first, market saturation, that's someone getting a new iPhone, then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they shoot boudoir, they got a website saying they shoot boudoir, saturating the market. Or someone gets a new camera, now they're posting the mom groups saying that for boudoir photo shoots. So it's more sellers to the same number of buyers, driving down the price for everyone. And usually this results in other boudoir photographers kind of getting kicked out of the market, going bankrupt, closing down shop. Now, basically everyone knows that. And also a big thing that happened with that was COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs, still to earn money, became boudoir photographers because everyone's got a great camera on their phone, on their cell phone. And so that was another, supply shock, seller shock, way more sellers to the same number of buyers. It was when COVID happened. Now the not currently very known false belief of page 1 equality. That belief is that kind of every boudoir photographer gets, 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe we had our website ranked on page 1 of Google, but then more boudoir photographers came in, kicked us down to page 2, and like, oh, that's simply that's simply how it is. Kind of just we simply gotta take what Google gives us. Hopefully the other person closes down and deletes their website so Google can maybe pull us back onto page 1. But it's kind of out of our hands. That's the belief of page 1 equality, whereas every boudoir photographer gets, either 0 or 1 slots on page 1, and that's simply how it is. But that's a false belief. I know that's a false belief because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google page 1 search to 9 out of 10 slots Google page 1 search in 10 days. Why? Because I knew page one equality is a false belief. And my hypothesis was Google would give me as many slots as I want, page one slots, as I wanted to put in the effort to acquire for whichever keywords I want to put in the effort to acquire them from. So that's exactly what I did, which we'll see those results in, whatever, 2 or 3 more pictures. So page one equality, false belief. We also know that boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness, so having either 0 or 1 slots page one of Google, is a disappearing boudoir photographer. Because look, if you got 0 slots on page one, we already know approximately 80% of Google searches do not go past page one. So we're invisible to 80% of the marketplace. So yeah, we're definitely disappearing. For 1 slot on page one, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're price shopped to death. We're disappearing as well. And this is kind of the canary in the coal mine, where BSS causes disappearing boudoir photographers, and basically all disappearing boudoir photographers also have BSS, what kind of is foreshadowing for the eventual disappearance of the entire boudoir photography business. So it's the canary in the coal mine. So we got to solve first. We got to stop the bleeding here. And luckily, we have a solution. Because we now have learned through extensive testing that BSS is treated with social search saturation. This is our S-cubed methodology. We invented it. You cannot get this solution from anybody else. And social search saturation is exactly what it says. We saturate social search with the highest intent search terms to show up there and kick everyone else out. These are kind of like, the smaller rivers that feed into the Amazon. And kind of when we do that successfully, that flows down into the Amazon, flows into Google. And many times Google will start giving us more and more page one slots for those more and more keywords we're ranking for in social search. That's why it's called social search saturation S-cubed methodology. We want to be saturating social search at all times, because if we're not, someone else in our city probably is. If nobody is, then we got the first mover advantage to do it. So S-cubed methodology, the magical thing about this is the only thing I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation and essentially render it, null and void. Because imagine we're in Miami, Florida. Let's say there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website for their boudoir photography business. They're ranking it. They're competing for page one Google search. But let's say we take S-cubed methodology to the max. We rank for the first, 300 slots for the highest intent search terms for boudoir in our city across all the major social media platforms. So we saturate social search. We're there. Can't find anyone until slot 301 and after. As a result, we're saturating the first 300 slots on Google as well. Well, each page on Google is 10 organic slots, and so that's 30 pages. They gotta go basically any buyer's gotta go page 31 to find any of our 999,999 competitors, because we cranked S-cubed methodology up to the maximum. So, whose business is growing? Ours. Whose business is growing the fastest in the city? Ours, because buyers can essentially really only find us, because we're everywhere they look. Basically, we're gonna kick out, box out all the other competitors, and we already know, approximately 80% of Google searches never go past page one, so they definitely ain't going to page 31. So this is what S-cubed methodology enables us to do for all those who want to put in the effort to achieve it. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility. We're finally visible on page one, even though if we had 1 slot there, we're not actually visible there because we look the same as everyone else. We had an added bonus to this where we're kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one, effectively making them invisible. They get kicked out to page 2 or deeper. And again, we know approximately 80% of boudoir photographers, or approximately 80% of Google searches never go to page 2. They're page 1 only searches, which means page 2 and deeper is invisible, disappearing boudoir photographer, canary in the coal mine. Eventually, the boudoir photography business will disappear. So we achieve page 1 visibility once we overcome market saturation and page 1. We crash through the false belief of page 1 equality. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So here we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 for local search and city search. Because when we're at 3 out of 10 slots, I mean, we've kicked off at least 2 to 3 other competitors from page 1. Also, compared to everyone that has 1 slot on page 1, we got 3. People are going to say, wow, why is Google recommending this person so much? They're going to auto trust us more. And the very rare chance someone else has 2 slots on page 1, well, we're at 3, and so we're always beating them. So it activates boudoir search visibility for us. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. This is our micro universe here. We got disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and page 1 equality. We now have a solution now, S-cubed methodology. And as a result, we achieve page 1 visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. Now onto my results I got using this. So I was using this, I want to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. And I use S-cube methodology. That's exactly what I did. And what I actually did was, here, organic, we started spot 1. We got organic slot 1. We got organic 2. We got organic. So slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. And slot 10 is me. So I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 in 10 days. And this is through utilizing S-cubed methodology that we invented, that cannot get us from anyone else. We invented it, we created it. And so this is the power of S-cubed methodology. Now into the main event here. Going to see this boudoir photography business, see how the search is looking for their local and city search. Actually, they're both in this case. So if we got BSS, yes or no. So if we're in the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google, or let's hit it, Bellingham, Washington. All right, so let's see what we got. Let's see. All right, so we do got one. Boom, we got one. All right, we got one. So we got 1 out of 10. And city's always the hardest one to rank for. So we got 1 out of 10, that's good. But we got BSS, we got boudoir search sameness. We also got, we're not hitting the GBC recommended amount of 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google. All right, so if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local search, your local searches, city searches with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you got 0-1 slots for any of them, at least one of them, or you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page 1 Google search for at least one of them, and you've accepted the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. So you know we can actually take as many slots on page 1 Google search as we want. Then, well, Andrew's saying S-cubed methodology is the only solution to give you those slots, and it's actually something you've been waiting for. And you're loving the initial benefits, more slots page 1 Google search, kick in competing boudoir photographers off page 1 Google search, relegating them to page 2 or page 3 or deeper, and never actually having to kind of deal with them as competitors anymore, making them disappear to approximately 80% of Google searches, so approximately 80% of the market. And you understand the market saturation, yeah, more peeps buy new gear eventually become boudoir photographers, yeah, they kind of trickle in over time. But you're looking ahead and you're seeing, okay, AI is taking peeps jobs right now, and AI is definitely going to get better and better, so it's going to take more and more peeps jobs over time. And you understand, last time that happened, lots of peeps lost their job. COVID, massive wave of boudoir photographers came into the marketplace. They're like, uh-oh, massive market saturation is coming, and you're realizing you actually need to fortify your position on page 1, which means have so many links that Google wants to rank on page 1 that there's not enough space to rank them all. So you're actually link stuffing page 2, 3, 4 onward, and basically guaranteeing no current boudoir photographer can get onto page 1, and basically no future boudoir photographer that comes after AI takes their job can ever get onto page 1. And you're saying, well, how to get that many links? So you're saying, S-cubed methodology, that's the only solution. I can give you that fortification. And you're also understanding that when we successfully execute S-cube methodology every single day, we're actually creating we're actually creating like these invisible thematic keyword columns that are plugging into our brand, like kind of 360 degrees around our brand. And these are building up back-end keyword AI mindshare for the AI systems, AI searchers out there. And so every day we do this, successfully execute SQ methodology, we're actually increasing the probability that we show up here in AI overview. The most premium placement, we cannot purchase this. And so that's a future benefit of SQ methodology. Another future benefit of SQ methodology is we are actually higher probability that we show up in AI search. So ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Google, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. And this is huge. Increasing its probability every single day is huge because more and more people use an AI search every single day. Last time I did AI search for Boudoir photographer in the city, I actually looked and it recommended me 3. So I went to look manually on Google and Facebook, hey, how many boudoir photographers are actually in the city? Dude, there's like 60. So if AI is only recommended 3, we gotta get there. We gotta have so much back-end AI keyword mindshare momentum that AI has to give recommend those positions to us. And you're also like the fact that my current plan is to work with only one boudoir photographer per city. So you're like, and yeah, you can get all these benefits, but also you can prevent your competitors from getting all these benefits, allowing you to build up a massive like AI mindshare gap, back-end AI keyword mindshare gap for the increased probability of recommended through AI overview and recommended through AI search. And you can actually deny your competitors getting that. So basically, you'll be able to build up a massive gap between you and your competitors and basically make it so big that current competing boudoir photographers can never achieve it or reach it, and future boudoir photographers can never that come in after AI takes their jobs can never catch you. So you decide you're a first mover on this, you can't miss out, and you actually want you're thinking conversely, if some other peeps, if one of your competitors were to get on the sign up with me first, you would actually lose out on all the benefits. Your competitor would begin all these links page 1. Have so many links page 1, there'd actually be overflown to the future page 2, 3, 4. You would be relegated to page 2 or deeper, and we would obviously have the goal of making you have no chance to ever get to page 1. And then we'd be building a massive keyword, back-end AI keyword kind of momentum, mindshare to get recommended AI overview, Google search, and with all the AI search apps. And for you to compete, you'd actually have to go rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, and you'd never have any idea if you've derived it. Well, you'd have to drive in for first time for yourself. You'd never know if you successfully 100% derived it correctly. And then you'd have to equal our execution every single day. And if you did that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap that we've already massively built ahead of you. And then once that happens, you would actually have to 2 to 3x our execution every single day to start closing that gap and pulling that back-end AI mindshare away from me and your competitor's brand back towards you. But since you're not even 100% confident you've derived it correctly in the first place, it's hard to put in that much effort, something you're not confident in. And when you actually think about it, you're like, dude, who's got 80 hours per day to do all this stuff? So you decide, screw that. You're actually going to be the first mover in your city, get all these benefits. So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed for new patient intake, but when we do open our DMs for new patient intake, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify.